Wonderful. And welcome to those of you that just popped in here. Welcome. We are ready to get started. Again, thank you so much for being here. My name is Corene Summers. Many of you know me. Some of you I haven't interacted with much, so thank you for popping in and joining for today's awesome session and time for the solstice and big changes we have coming. My name is Corene Summers, again, founder of Artisan Farmacy. I'm a Reiki Master, a meditation and mindfulness coach, as well as a yoga instructor, and a lover of all things ancient wisdom, and studying these ways of deeper connection to ourselves, to one another, and to our planet. So today's session, as you know, is for the solstice, and all about opening the heart and, again, creating that sense of connection and sending some love out, some peace out to the world, for the times, healing for the times that we've gone through this year, as well as for the times to come. So, as I've mentioned to a few of you already, if you'd like to grab a journal or notebook, the first part of our workshop today is going to be just some information about, a tiny bit about what's going on in the planets. I'd already sent those couple of article links in the newsletter. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the heart and the role of the heart, the importance of the heart, opening the heart in these times, and what that even really means. And then we're going to take a meditation journey together. So, to begin, I just want to actually invite everyone to get comfortable, taking a moment to move around in your seat and start to breathe a little more deeply, letting go of any tension you might be carrying in your body and just letting yourself relax, letting go of any outside thoughts or distractions and fully coming into the space for our conversation today. So, we are living in wild and historic times. So I think it's especially important to keep in mind, not just what's happening that we can see here on Earth, in terms of politics and the coronavirus and everything like that, but also what's going on in our external environment that's impacting us. I've done a lot of studying on energy and frequency, and that we all have an electromagnetic pulse that we emit and radiate, not just in the brain, but also from the heart. So we each have our own individual electromagnetic field that is radiating a certain type of energy. And that interacts with the energies of everything else in our environment. The lakes and trees and plants, they all have their own energy. The earth and the planets themselves are all moving at a certain frequency. There's been a lot of scientific studies that have shown that our emotions even have a specific calibration. So, anger versus love, they vibrate at a different frequency. And since our electromagnetic field and what we're feeling, what we're experiencing energetically, also impacts those around us, this is something really important to take notice of. And the changes and shifts in our electromagnetic field or in the planets as they move and shift around also can impact us. So, whether you know anything about astrology or have believed in it or are interested in it or not, I think that's something that's really important to understand, that when these things are happening, there's a potential for us to experience physical and emotional changes. And that's sometimes why, when there's big changes in the galaxy and the planets, there's big changes here on Earth, like everything we saw this year. So what's happened is right now, Saturn just moved into Aquarius, and there's a conjunction with Jupiter. Um, I'm not going to get into all the nerdy details. You can look that up in a lot of places. Those articles I shared, even on NASA's website, they have some cool information. But the important thing to understand is, again, there's energetic shifts that are coming through and impacting us here on Earth. And when this stuff is going on, it tends to elicit really strong emotional responses from people. And if you're not highly aware, highly conscious, and knowledgeable about this, if you're not doing things intentionally in your daily life to ground yourself, to nourish your mind and body, to stay calm and understand that, hey, some of these feelings, emotions, or even feeling tired, brain fog, some of these physical impacts can actually be from what's going on in the planets. So when you're having a really bad day, or you feel extra emotion, or you feel extra tired and exhausted, and sometimes it's like a reminder, like, okay, there are lots of things that are energetically could be impacting me. It might be stuff going on out there in the stars. It might be the energy of the people I'm surrounding myself with, the conversations we're having, the type of people I'm surrounding myself with, what I'm viewing in my social media feed, or on the news, what kind of movies you're watching, what kinds of songs you're listening to. Each of those things has its own vibration that has, again, the potential to impact how you're feeling and how you're interacting with the world around you. So learning about this totally changed my life. um, I I listen to completely different music now. I really limit the amount of news that I intake. I put barriers on this, and I surround myself with really beautiful, really positive people, whether it's in my social media feed, the email lists I'm subscribed to, the events I attend, the friends that I keep. It's important to me that I'm filling myself, the food I eat, the exercises I do every day, the way I breathe. I'm intentional about these things because I know that it's going to keep me more grounded when we're going through rocky times, which all of 2020, I don't understand how Apple, even when I'm on Do Not Disturb, sometimes I'm using my phone and my laptop. Sometimes a call still comes through. I don't get it. um, so sorry for that little interruption there. But so where was I? So this is just important to understand and be aware. 2020 has been really hard. And Saturn, like I said, just moved into Aquarius and is there until March 2023. Now, historically, when the Saturn is in Aquarius, a lot of crazy stuff tends to be happening. It's been aligned to World War II, the Cuban Missile Crisis, the creation of the SEC and the FBI. I think both MLK and JFK assassinations, like crazy stuff that happens. So I think it's important, again, to be aware that we might still be in for a long haul. We're already being told this by our government and in politics, but it's kind of lines up again with what's happening in our planets as well. So it's just something to kind of be aware of, that this might impact us. Maybe it'll take you on a exciting trail of looking a little more into um, all of this fun stuff. But what can we do about it? What can we do to prepare ourselves and to also take advantage of the positive side of this energy? So many believe that it's also helping to facilitate a great awakening, and that if you're aware and you're conscious of all of this that's happening, that there's a choice that we can take to rise above and to become beacons of light to others in our communities during these difficult times. And the only way for us to do this is, I believe, through the heart and through reconnecting and reopening what we often call the heart portal. So, in ancient cultures, it's really, really fascinating because the heart was often considered more primary and more important than the brain. And I've studied a lot of this with the Heart Math Institute and Dr. Teresa Bullard, who I actually just also interviewed for my new podcast called The Frequency Shifters. But she's there, they've done some phenomenal research. And what they've discovered is that, the heart used to be considered more primary and important, and was actually called the seat of the soul, or the seat of consciousness, not the brain as it's often thought of today. People talk a lot about the brain with the studies of consciousness, but ancient cultures found it to be in the heart. And in fact, often when they would say the words, I think, they would actually place their hand here because they recognized that there was actually more elicited, more happening in the heart than in the brain, and that the heart actually connects us to the root of who we are. So our Western world has come really far from these ideas, right? We've also come really far, I think, from the nature of who we are, and we've become disconnected from our natural world and nature itself in a lot of different ways. So, the age of Aquarius is also the age of the heart. We're also, so we're kind of shifting from the age of the more masculine, power center, ego driven world into this more compassionate, loving, giving, forgiving, heart opened world. So, some other things that the Heart Math Institute found was that the heart actually sends more messages to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. The heart reacts or starts to register a response to a stimulus 6 seconds before it happens. Like, what? That one really surprised me and I thought was so cool. So before this, even 6 seconds before the stimulus is presented, the heart intuitively knows what's coming. So, when we shut ourselves off from the heart, when we live too much in the brain, this is where we get ourselves off track because the brain can be programmed. The brain, it can be programmed, our thoughts can be programmed by all of those other sensory things I mentioned earlier in our conversation. TV, media, politics, people, etc. Nobody can program your heart. Nobody. Okay? This is the seat, again, consciousness of our soul, the root of who we are, and our ability to create more peace in the world. Um, Two more things actually. The heart emits 5 times more electricity from than the brain, and that the energy of the heart extends 4 to 6 feet from the body in all directions. So think about that. The energy of your heart extends up to 4 to 6 feet from the body. So this is why when we're with other people, sometimes we're impacted. You hear the word empath a lot. Sometimes we're impacted by other people's emotions and what they're going through energetically. And I think that's another interesting thing to understand. Like, okay, there's this electromagnetic field that's extending. So what I'm feeling and who I'm being, whether I'm feeling love or, even if you're trying to keep it together, but you have hate in your heart, someone else is going to be able to pick up on that. And that's why sometimes when we're around people, we can't always put our finger on it, but we might, think, I don't know what it is about this person, but they really there's something off. There's something rubbing me the wrong way. Or you might think, I don't know what it is, but I love this person. They are awesome. And you don't really know why, but there's something you're gravitating towards them. And again, that's a reflection of the energy of who they are. So we can all tap into that positive energy. I'm going to just share really quickly, and then we're almost to our meditation. Oh, is it going to let me? Okay, yeah, share. Oh, I can't. Bummer. Well, that's fine. I'll just tell you briefly. The last little study I'm going to share about, this impact of our emotion and how powerful we are. Dr. David Hawkins, another a psychiatrist who's done a lot of research on frequency, vibration, the vibration of emotions in particular. He basically found that there's a calibration or the frequency to each emotion. So there's this really cool chart, and maybe I'll share it out with you guys after when I share the recording of this. But it shows the energy or the vibration of every single emotion. And so, at the very bottom, there's shame, guilt, fear, anger. And then we move into the positive vibrations, love, joy, peace, even compassion, all of these different things, desire, courage. Even acceptance is higher than acceptance is actually higher than courage, which was something I always found interesting. But I digress. So the important thing to know about this energy is that he said one person, just one person, calibrating at the energy or frequency of love, joy, or peace counterbalances 90 100,000 other people who are calibrating at fear, anger, and or shame. So what does that mean? We're powerful. You're powerful. Every single one of you hold incredible power and ability to impact the world around you and to be beacons of light during this really, really hard, really messed up time in the world. We all have the ability to be that and to show others that we can still have peace, we can still have joy, and we can still create love even in dark times. That we're going to get through this. We're going to overcome this. But the more of us that join together and continue to elevate ourselves and rise up, we'll take over. Our energy will be stronger than the low energies and low vibrations that also exist right now. So that's the last message I want to share there. Take care of yourself, stay hydrated, get good sleep, stay away from alcohol and junk food as much as you can, and fill and nourish yourself with as much good as you can. Reconnecting to nature, getting out into the earth, inviting the elements into your way of living in your daily life. And yes, we'll get through this together. I also just launched a membership program called the Frequency Shifters Community, where we're diving more into all of this stuff. And there's 2 to 3 live classes that are just for that community every week, a library of, over 70 videos and exercises now. And we're just going to be getting into some really cool stuff in 2021. So make sure you check that out. All right. Does anybody have anything they want to ask in the chat box before we get into the meditation? Because I don't really, you can ask questions after too, but I want us to sink in now, get out of the head and the thinking into the heart and the meditation. So I just want to give that opportunity now. Oh, okay. I see a couple here. Hold on. Can the heart be trained, evolving, enhancing, growing? Yes, the heart can be trained, just like the brain and the mind can be trained. But the thing is that the heart is already aligned to our truest nature. It's what connects us to our highest self, our inner child, our center of inner wisdom. So when we have the intention to connect to the heart and we practice meditation, we practice being compassionate, we practice acting from love instead of acting from fear or anger. That's always a question you can ask yourself before you respond in a situation. Who am I being in this situation in my response? Am I acting from love or am I acting from anger or fear? A lot of times we react from fear. So you can train yourself to connect more to the heart and open the heart simply, again, by intentionally doing so and by asking yourself that question. So, and of course, like I said, meditation, even just caring for yourself, practicing caring for others, giving back, karma, giving good things to others, serving others, donating your time, giving financially if you can, like whatever ways you have. Some people have time, some people have money, whatever way you can give back to the world and back to people. All of those actions will help you continue to open the heart. There's also a lot you can do to open the heart chakra physically through yoga poses that open the heart center, loving kindness meditation, gratitude practices. So yes, I love your comments here. Being intentional is powerful. Almost everything always comes back to intention. I find I'm doing all these really cool interviews for my podcast, talking about different types of energy and different types of leaders in, the mindfulness space and different healing modalities. And the one thing that every single one of those people mentions in our interview is the power of intention. So that's it. That's from the experts. So I'm, yes, that really comes down. That's the base of it. And yes, I will share all of these things in the follow-up. So you got it. All right. I think that was all the actual questions. Thanks for your comments too, guys. All right, let's go ahead and get started with our meditation just for the sake of time.